If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to rate and review it. Your feedback will greatly impact our ability to reach more people. Thank you.
All right, back in the studio. What's up, man?
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Indeed.
Good. You've been traveling all over the place the last few days.
I'm about halfway through the travel run. I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Hershey, I guess we need to be a little more specific, where I delivered a keynote to the Pennsylvania Hospital Association. That was incredible. So thanks to everybody at the Pennsylvania Healthcare and Hospital Association for hosting me. And then left right out of there and went to Durham, North Carolina for North Carolina's Primary Care Association annual meeting. And that was great. So that was yesterday morning. A little before now, yesterday, I delivered that keynote, and that went well also. Great groups. You know, it's good to be on the ground with the people who are actually delivering care in the country and are grappling with the impacts of the looming impacts of HR1, right? I mean, like that's kind of the thing that...
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to care for patients, and we ought to be supporting them as a society.
Yeah.
And
But it's tough, right? Because
we spend a lot of money, too.
We spend a lot of money, and we have this growing debt, right? So that's, I mean, a lot of my keynotes kind of about the tension there. Right. But yeah, no, look, it's been a busy week, and then I get on a plane on Sunday morning, head off to Healthcare Finance Management Association's annual conference, which is 4 days. I get installed as the chair-elect, which will be fun. But probably the best thing is that I get to introduce Emmett Smith on Wednesday for his keynote, so that'll be fun. Yeah. So that's my travel story. That's my travel story. How about you? Last night you were at a dinner with Tim Draper, right?
Yeah. Tim Draper and his production crew were in town to record one of their shows this morning, and so I couldn't do that. But I went to the dinner last night, which was great. Yeah. Vanderbilt was represented. Anders was there.
Oh, nice,
and,
nice.
There's several people in town. It's good to sort of catch up with everyone and hear what they're doing on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Not a lot of new things, but great just to connect. I got to sit next to Tim, which was great, just by chance.
Yeah.
So there were probably 19 people from local Middle Tennessee, and then 4 from Tim's office. And so I know a lot of the local folks. They're great folks, but it was good to get to talk to the actual person that was, leading it.
That's cool. We have a lot to cover and not a ton of time today. Yeah. So I think we're going to pick our spots where we'll go deep, but for the most part, kind of cover the notes.
Touch the bases.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
That's right.
All right, so let's dig in. Start with the economy. U.S. job openings increased while hiring fell in April. Available positions increased to 7.6 million in April from 6.9 million in March, while the hiring rate worsened from 3.2 to 3.5%. This feels a little more like what I've been expecting this year.
Yeah, I mean, there were more jobs, but I don't know how many jobs are sort of trying to learn about the market and getting information and how we're actually hiring. So the hiring rate went down, even though there are more jobs. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lukewarm report. Nothing wrong with it, but not very good either.
Yep, agree. The jobless claims rose last week. Continuing claims was 1.78 million in the week through May 23rd. Again, this is more of what I'm expecting.
Right.
Now talking about the Fed. Kevin Warsh wants the Fed to think about inflation differently. I don't know that I was fully expecting that, but we've all been wondering how he is going to address the situation he's inherited, which is a complex one, which is a really complex one. We're in the middle of a war. We've got this weird inflationary thing going on. The jobs certainly don't look good. And there's a lot of sort of concern about that. And then there's all the concerns about the market. Are we in this bubble, and is this bubble going to pop? So that's not a great environment to be thinking about dropping rates, certainly. What's Warsh's perspective here, Vic?
Yeah, so he doesn't think CPI is the right gauge of inflation. And I don't think anyone, including me, would dispute that it's not very good.
Yeah, okay.
And he's suggesting we use core PCE and maybe even one of the trimmed means, which is like, I think they sort of cut off some of the ends and make it a little bit more stable. And I think that's fine. I mean, I don't love CPI.
Right.
I don't know enough about PCE. I think that is sort of it's meant to be more what
Main Street
people like. It's personal consumption.
Right.
So like, what are people actually buying?
Right.
Which is sort of what the CPI also is, but it's a newer one.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting to sort of track this. He's definitely going to try to put his own stamp on the Fed And this is a way to do that, to sort of move to a different standard.
I think this is actually quite a big move. Emily was the first person to ever sort of point out to me that that PCE is a different take on inflation and really should be considered more than it is, and CPI gets too much, airtime. So I think we should really track this, because it might be interesting to look historically and see what the implications of tracking PCE versus CPI would have meant in times where the Fed really did, take some drastic action. So, is it radically different, or is it just like incrementally different? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's right. And we can get into more when we have more time.
Yeah. Private credit. I'm going to turn this one over to you, because you've been the one really tracking the private credit stuff.
We're tracking this just so the audience can keep it in the, on their radar. Blackstone has probably I think it's the largest private credit fund, and they are experiencing 8 or 9% of the fund demanded to be redeemed. Mm. They have a gate, so they only have to do 5%.
Okay.
That's another sign that, Blackstone is probably one of the better quality funds.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's really a sign of maybe other parts of an investor's portfolio are really suffering. So they're pulling money out of Blackstone. But if too many people do that, then the fund itself they're not designed for a lot of redemptions like that. So just something to watch.
Yeah.
It can be self-fulfilling if it goes too far.
Yeah, and I think it's not so much a worry about Blackstone, right, which is very, very diverse financial platform.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
They'll be fine. But I think it's more just this is a signal. There are probably some other platforms out there that are a lot more overweight private credit.
Yeah.
And Blackstone's just a really big one. So they attract the headlines, and, and it's not great that the redemptions were twice the gate.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. And if they are forced to sell assets, which they likely will be, then that drives down. Then you get a mark-to-market price for those assets that the other funds have to then recognize. It can cascade in a bad direction. It hasn't yet. I'm not saying it's that way now, but we've just been watching this.
Yep. Okay, this is the part we're going to kind of try to speed through, the VC rundown. But the first story I think is worth sticking with a little bit. So Brian Armstrong, who is the founder and CEO of Coinbase, as all of these really successful big tech CEOs do, he's got another venture that he's working on. The Stripe guys are into this, not into this specific venture, but they're into the biotech thing as well.
Yeah, right.
And so it seems like the fintech guys really like doing biotech stuff, and that's a trend we should probably continue to watch. He has a startup that's called New Limit, and it has now tripled its value. It's worth $3.1 billion, and it plans to test an RNA therapy in alcohol-related liver disease patients next year.
Yeah, so I think this is the first place they are focused, but it's a longevity company. And so their view is that the liver has a really important role in health maintenance, and that you see it most clearly in alcohol-related liver disease, but that everyone has, if you had a healthier liver, you would be healthier and live longer.
Right.
And all of these wealthy CEOs want to live forever. That's what this is about.
Yep. Understood. Adaptive Innovations raises $50 million in Series A funding. That's a really big round. New York City and Dallas-based developer of AI-native home healthcare operating system and clinical services platforms. It was led by Felicis and Bain Capital Ventures. Optum is also in. Let's see what other names. SV Angels. I think those are the headlines. $50 million is a big round for a company entering the home health operating system business. So I think we're going to have to watch this one.
Yeah, and unlike the acute care market, once you get discharged from the health system, there is no real clear dominant system.
Right.
The SNFs have a variety of things, then home health has different, rehab hospitals have different. So it's a huge opportunity, but it's also a very fractured and hard to herd into one place market.
Yeah, and I think that's why the $50 million stands out to me, because I don't think that's a tech budget. To me, it's like a go-to-market budget, right?
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
To tackle this very, very fragmented mom and pop kind of industry and really, start to consolidate it a little bit at the tech layer.
Yeah.
So this is a company we should watch for sure. Adaptive Innovations. Also, with Optum Ventures on the cap table and United's position in home health, that's another thing to really sort of consider, that there's probably some strong alliance there.
Yeah.
Advanced NanoTherapies raises $31 million for drug-coated balloon tech. What's the deal here?
Yeah, so this is cardiac treatment. We've had stints, and before stints, we had balloons that would go in and sort of try to treat a blockage. And this is a drug-infused balloon that has benefits for that purpose.
Next up, Contraline and its male birth control candidate rallied $92.5 million amid push into massive white space of men's health. I was not expecting to see a male birth control deal in the mix, especially when I feel like the meme of our time is low birth rates. So this is a really interesting thing to see. But what's the deal here?
So this is a birth control that it's like a topical cream that you put on, I think, before you're going to have sex. And $92 million for a Series B is a lot of money. I think it's probably, yes, we all want people to have more babies. And I also think there's a lot of males would like to have the control of birth control themselves.
But the pleasure of not having to use a condom?
Right. Yeah, okay. I think that's the...
Okay. All right. I mean, I get it.
I'm not sure I'd invest in it, but
probably not what I'm going to track very closely.
Right.
But I'm sure there is a market. Novellia raises $18 million for patient-controlled health data platform. The company's going to use the funds to enhance its patient-facing app and AI health data platform for biopharma research and grow its presence in emerging therapeutic areas. So the Series A was led by Spark Capital. This is a space I feel like we all are wondering. When are we going to get more control, and when are we going to be able to participate when we want to into trials with our data and things like that. But it seems like there's some structural issues sort of underneath, the growth of this market that I haven't seen any company be able to really tackle. But it's a bunch of smart people on the table. Spark Capital, Khosla Ventures, obviously very, very strong there. So, I mean, is there anything that you see here that stands out against what has been stopping companies like this from being successful?
No. Personal health records are needed. And right now we don't have a business model to really support them. They're hoping that the real world evidence, drug clinical trials, it's a timing issue. Like
it's a big
that is going to be an opportunity. I mean, I wrote a chapter in my book about that, but I was talking about like 15 to 25 years from now. This feels early to me. I mean, lots of people have tried to do a personal health record. There's some interest if it's free, but it's hard to. I'm going to pay for it. I don't think people are going to pay for it.
Yeah, and also your record is still split up with all the different providers. It's like that part of it is still the issue for me. It's like I've got Apple Health. I've had Apple Health for years, and I still don't feel like I've got a fully integrated picture of my health. So I'm just curious, like, how are you going to get
so I went through that brain damage of going to the health system and downloading my data and then uploading to a system I control. And it's pretty painful and hard.
It's hard. That's the part I'm talking about. It's like there's no blue button. We don't have that.
Right. Yes.
So, okay. That to me feels like the challenge here. Ilant Health secures $15 million to expand value-based precision obesity management. $15 million Series A round led by Cornucopian Capital, elevating its total funding footprint to $22 million. Former McKinsey and Molina healthcare executive is leading this company.
Yeah, so this is a value-based care approach to obesity management, which I think is interesting. It's pretty hard to unwind obesity from other cost centers. And so I'm not sure how the value-based care thing fits in, but it's interesting. And focusing on obesity as a disease is
it's
new.
Emerging.
Yeah,
it's emerging.
Yeah.
It's got some tailwinds to it, but I agree. It's not a clear and present opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, into policy. It's unanimous. SCOTUS agrees with Hikma in skinny label case versus Amarin. I have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah,
Educate
so
me.
drugs that have intellectual property and under patent are then given maybe it's 20 years, a long 25 years is a period of time. And it takes several years to get through the clinical trials process. And so for a long time, when it comes off patent, often the company will add, it's an IP portfolio. So they'll add a new indication or a new thing that it does to try to get more time. That's been going on forever.
Yeah, that's not new.
And the FDA has for a long time said we will kind of carve out the original use case for the drug that now is off patent. But the skinny label means like docs can only be marketed to for that use.
Okay.
And whoever sued the generic, they were upset that some of their marketing was talking about the more general, I think it's a cardiac care thing. So talking about like for cardiovascular care, consider our generic was side of the marketing.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about side effects that could happen, which just happened to match with what the sort of the differentiated thing was. And so they got sued. And the lower courts supported the proprietary company, but the Supreme Court has knocked that down 9-0. And they basically were saying that there wasn't enough evidence. There was no clear evidence that they were marketing outside of their label. They didn't violate what they're allowed to do from the FDA.
Right.
And the fact that this other company was frustrated about it did not rise to the level that mattered, which I think is healthy and good. I mean, you have a period of time and you still can try to do your follow-on things, but you can't prevent other people from marketing their generic.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is a win for those who don't want more preventionism, right? Yeah,
that's right. And generics should have a chance to market
for the benefit of the market.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And also, it's kind of nice to see the Supreme Court
actually be unanimous on something. Yeah, right.
Massachusetts sues UnitedHealthcare for alleged Medicaid fraud. The state claims UnitedHealthcare inflated the sickness of seniors enrolled in mass health managed care plans to reap at least $100 million in improper payments.
We have covered this story a year and a half ago. It's not new. The only thing new is that Massachusetts, I think, needs money, and they're trying to get money from UHG. I mean, is there a case maybe if you squint and kind of, but they've already been taking a task on this from the federal government. And so I don't know if I understand how the different tiers of lawsuits work, but it just feels like a money grab. And if Massachusetts is going to do it, then every state will do it.
Well, look, I mean, let's move to the next story here, which is California Attorney General sues over a 23andMe data breach. This is not new. This data breach happened over a year ago, right?
Oh, at least. I was going to say 5 years.
No, it hasn't been that long. But I mean, it happened since we've been recording the show. But I guess it feels to me like the bigger thing is I think there used to be a time where we did not feel that these state cases had some level of political motivation. And I'm not actually saying that either of these do. I'm just reflecting on my own internal response to them. Mm-hmm. And I need to be really clear. Both of these are blue states. If they were both red states, I'd be saying the same thing. Yeah. Okay. It just feels like these stories don't feel as clear cut anymore about the things that different state AGs are taking on. Right. And in this case, the only issue for me here is just the timing of it.
Yeah.
Like,
on both cases.
I mean, I'm a 23andMe customer, and I was part of the data breach. I've been a part of I don't know how many data breaches at this point, right? I mean, I remember back when Equifax was breached, and it was like such a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't even matter.
It's like once a week.
I get a letter in the mail every week from some company that lost my data, right? So anyway, for me, the thing here is just the timing. Like, why now? Because this has been a long time this has happened, right? Yeah. I mean, is there anything else to say here other than
I mean. My cynical view is they need both
2023.
States.
2023.
Okay, yeah. So 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they just have budget shortfalls and are trying to find money. So, but that may be overly cynical. I don't know.
Okay, this was surprising.
Yeah.
We're in the health systems now. The new Ardent Health CEO inherits growth ambitions. Ardent elevated its former COO, Dave Kaspers, to the top job as the Tennessee-based system grapples with its declining stock price. So first of all, I mean, just a little bit of context here. We regularly have our good friend Paul Kappelman on the show. His last real gig was CEO of Ovation Fertility. He was very successful and was able to sell that company. He does a lot of really cool work with private equity firms at this point. He's not really in a pure operator role. But prior to that, he was the COO at Ardent Health. So he was in this seat that Dave Kaspers was in, and he departed at the pretty close to the time when Marty Bonnick came on. At that point, the company was privately held. I forget the name of the actual firm, but it was Sam Zell's private equity firm based in Chicago. And then Marty took the company public about a year and a half ago. It was Q1 of last year. And it was not a great time. Like, all the healthcare stocks were getting killed. And I remember, one time we looked at it and it was like the results were good, but they just were not good relative to the Mag 7. And so the healthcare companies were just getting crushed, right? And so, it says here that Marty is pursuing other opportunities. And I just can't help but think that some of this has to do with going public. I mean, just the challenges of what it's like in the public environment. We're going to talk obviously about, the I.P.O. frenzy that's looming right now, but the public markets are just a bad place for healthcare companies now. I really do believe that. I don't think it's a good place for these companies that are trying to navigate these really, really difficult regulatory, times.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I don't know the backstory. I was pretty surprised. This is the most surprising story this week for me. I think Marty's done a pretty good job getting the company public and then operating. I mean, they are smaller than other for-profit publicly traded companies, but pretty well run. I mean, I think the system's pretty strong. No health system is going to keep up with the Mag 7. They're not designed for that. Maybe it was shareholder pressure. I mean, but I'm not sure that I don't know Dave Kaspers, but I think he's going to have a very similar set of circumstances.
I agree. I don't know that. I think this is a public market issue. I mean, I think about my friend David Dill, and who's the CEO at LifePoint, and like what a brilliant move I think it was when he was able to take the company private. Because look at all the amazing things that LifePoint's been able to do. They spun off Scion Health. They're doing all these behavioral health things in partnership with Ascension. It's like, I don't know they would have been able to do these things on the public market when every quarter you're just like,
they definitely wouldn't.
No, it's too hard. Yeah. It's too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Ardent was private.
Yes.
Sam Zell died. That family office owned a
majority
lot of it.
Certainly a majority.
Yeah. And I think they needed to find some way to transition.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they weren't, they could have gone to another private equity firm. It's just a different set of circumstances. LifePoint has benefited from being private, certainly.
Yeah. So anyway, we wish Marty the best, and I'll probably reach out to him in the next 7 days or so. Ascension closes its $3.9 billion AmSurg purchase following FTC's all clear. So this is a really interesting outcome for one of Nashville's, I would say, most important companies. AmSurg is not necessarily the biggest company, but I think as a company that really represented a significant innovation in healthcare, which was the ambulatory surgical center, market opportunity. And AmSurg did great, and then was part of a really kind of messy situation when they were merged with Envision. Was that the name of the company?
Yes.
Envision Healthcare.
Yeah.
That really didn't make a lot of sense. The whole sort of physician group roll up. But Ascension, I think, is a good parent for AmSurg. And it puts Ascension, you think about all the work that Ascension has done over the last 3 years to sort of clean up their big hole in the ground and get their network footprint in really good shape. And I think acquiring AmSurg puts them in a category where we're going to start talking about them in the same breath as HCA and Tenet, right? I mean, they've got, this is a really major ASC platform that they're adding to their stack.
Yeah, no question. It was a really smart acquisition. They're well run. I mean, Ascension's great. They were forced to exit, I think, 7 states by the FTC. So the FTC all clear is after they agreed to sell maybe 7 different cities. But they're still going to be in 30 plus in AmSurg. So it's plenty. And then you need that sort of, fully integrated health system with the ambulatory diagnostic and then the acute care.
I think we got to take another look at Ascension, Vic. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I think they're the best. I would say they're clearly, Common Spirit might be mad about this, but I think they're the best nonprofit.
Oh, certainly. I don't think that's really.
You think that's fair?
No. I don't think that's like a debatable thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Common Spirit has done a very good job because I think they have a more difficult payer mix than Ascension does. But I think they've done a very good job. But I think when you look at the moves that Ascension has made network wise, and now this acquisition, I mean, they're really getting their overall platform into a very tight position, I think. So congrats to them on the progress here. Okay, WellSpan Health strikes strategic partnership with Philips to deploy and co-develop new healthcare tech. So kind of an interesting thing. I was in Pennsylvania, and the CEO of WellSpan is Roxana Gapster, and she's the chair of the Pennsylvania Healthcare and Hospital Association, and she introduced me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's in here. She has a quote in here.
So she's quoted here, and it says that they've expanded their partnership with General Catalyst to test out and scale artificial intelligence tools. So what's really interesting is that in my talk, I referenced General Catalyst.
Yeah,
Obviously, talking about all this kind of stuff, and I didn't get to talk to her afterwards. But this is pretty impressive. I'm gonna send a note off to the organization, linking this and sort of saying, hey, this is exactly kind of what I was talking about.
I mean, the reason I didn't know that you had met her, but the thing I was struck with is it's pretty unique. There aren't a lot of health systems that have been targeted like this to partner with General Catalyst and Philips and Hippocratic Oath AI. And she was in this article talking about they're not going to partner with everyone. They're keeping it to like a 3, 4, 5, 6 partners, and they seem like really good partners. So.
Yeah. It's awesome. Radiation device placed in brain cuts tumor recurrence and boosts survival. A postage stamp size implant eliminates a dangerous waiting period that has long worsened outcomes for cancer patients. So is this Health in Us?
Yeah, this is Health in Us.
Okay.
It's for brain tumor treatment.
Okay.
And the brain computer interface whole thing is really advanced. So they they have a picture of it here. They put this little
there it is.
Wafer in there, and then it is generating radiation right next to the tumor, so it's less damaging to the rest of the brain. It's early, so it's obviously they've put it in 230 people so far, but it's really promising, and we need all the treatments we can get.
Yeah, I mean this. So it's like we have all these issues that are happening, from I don't know any other way to say it. Just the finances of healthcare as they are currently designed do not work. Okay. But what is really fun about this show is seeing how science is just totally going to, in true Clay Christensen style, it itself is going to disrupt the value network. Like, even if the market doesn't change, like, we're going to have some things that are going to eliminate service lines as we currently understand them, from a science perspective. That's amazing. It's going to be tough for these businesses, but for our society and for our, overall amount of money that we're spending out of the government on healthcare, it's going to be amazing. And the survival rates and the people who will not lose their lives. And this is really, really cool. Like, I'm a little freaked out by Neuralink stuff, but this kind of brain implantable, I'm like all day, 100% think is fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. We're starting to get to really sort of not incremental. The treatment is marginally better. And instead of a 9-month expected lifespan because you have brain cancer, you now can have 15 months. That's where we've been for years.
Right.
And we're starting to get treatments where it's, okay, we'll cure it.
Right.
Or we'll give you 15 years more and not 3 months more.
Right.
And that's really exciting.
Right. Eli Lilly issues a data sharing ultimatum to 340B hospitals. So basically, Lilly is saying you have to share data to prove you're not double dipping the drug discounts.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're not going to honor the 340B safe arrangement. I don't know. That kind of seems fair to me. It just, to me, it just seems like an audit. It's just like, hey,
right,
it's time to run an audit.
Yeah. I mean, it's another example where Lilly is really attuned to the operations, certainly, but also the zeitgeist and like how the PR is going to run.
Yes.
They announced this in January. So they gave several months of voluntary data. You're like, please send us your data, but there were no repercussions. And now they are coming back and saying, well, you've had time to get ready, and if you're not willing to show us what you're doing, we're nervous that the money's not going to poor people that it's supposed to help. That's a very well-structured argument, I think.
Very well-structured argument. Yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the most difficult things, and I think it is really unfair in most cases, but one of the most difficult things is that I think it is fair to say that while maybe it hasn't been lost entirely, there has been significant diminishing of the high moral ground of hospitals around the country.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all fair. I don't think it's all warranted. I think a lot of the distrust started during COVID, and that was very unfair to the one group of frontline workers that was actually risking their lives and their families' lives. Like they're going out, like we're all home quarantining. They're like out in the middle of this stuff. But your point is right. In the zeitgeist, like no one feels sorry. I shouldn't say no one. There is less support I think is a more honest way to put it, right?
Yeah.
There's less support for community hospitals than there has previously been, and it creates an opportunity to take these types of public positions that I think were much harder to do before.
Yeah, and it's going to force us to be, I think, honest about how are we paying for care. Like, there's been, state-directed payments, supplemental payments, 340B, just to name three off the top of my head, ways to, how can we get more money to health systems because they're doing work that we want them to do, but we're not reimbursing at the right level for ED, for burn unit, for a bunch of things that are very expensive, life flight, but that we want to have as a society, and we've sort of hidden the true cost, and it's not the health system's fault. They just need to figure out how to operate their business, but it's been too long, and we need to sort of get that transparent and right-sized and organized. So
yeah. Okay. The autism therapy business is booming, and so is the billing abuse. Insurers warn of fraud and exorbitant charges from providers, including one that stuck a parent with a surprise $911,400 bill. So we're going to talk about this, but I know this is going to be difficult for you because you have an investment. No, we shut the company down. I think this is a really, really, really difficult space. I think it's a really tricky space. I think now, having been in it, I think we were in a market and competing against companies that were likely fraudulent. I do think that. I do think there is a significant amount of fraud in this market. But I will tell you this: the billing model is really, really tough. It's one of those things where it's like a billing model that's so inadequate for the cost to deliver because of the way that. So let me just lay this out a little bit, right? So you have behavior analysts and you have behavior techs. The behavior analysts, generally speaking, are a wash, if not a loss, because they're the ones who actually are like the authority on delivering the treatment. You get your scale by them basically overseeing a group of behavior techs.
Yeah, it's a type of extender.
Yeah. And that's where that's where you get your margin. And I'm just going to tell you, there's not that much margin.
Even in the behavior techs, there's not that much margin.
No, right. There's not that much margin there.
And I think it's hard work.
It's hard work. Okay. Yes. This is not simple work. There is not a lot of margin there. And I think also the behavioral analysts are in high demand, right? Like they are really an important part of the process. There's also a real struggle in this industry around like proof of progress. It's like standards are a struggle. Yeah. Standards are a struggle. I think this headline is likely correct and also only like a part of the story. This is a really difficult business model to operate.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think that, at least from my point of view, autism and people on the spectrum broadly has grown pretty significantly in the last 20 years. Now, maybe we're diagnosing it more. Maybe there's something in the environment. I don't think it matters. If you have a child that needs help, there's not enough providers. Access is a real issue, and we don't reimburse enough. I mean, we just don't. You're saying the business model is hard. It's because we don't reimburse at a high enough level.
I think that is generally correct, right? There are very few, not none, but there are very few autism provider companies at scale to have negotiating leverage with the payers. And my experience has been the payers are really quite hard to get like reasonable rates with. I mean, so they basically you kind of can't do it.
Yeah, and so what happens is you have all these parents wanting to help their kid. You have not enough providers, and the reimbursement rates are insufficient. And so, unfortunately, that is a breeding ground for fraud.
That's right.
And so the mechanism that the Wall Street Journal did research on is they deliver care, the payer declines it because they overbill what is allowed, and then they go after the family and the family either figures out a way to pay or they bankrupt them.
Yeah. Well, look, the bottom line here is insurers warn of fraud and exorbitant charges from providers, and that's why I was just like, hey, we're gonna put this link in the show notes. Everyone read the story, get it for yourself. But like, let me just say, like, this is
it's both end.
Oh.
I mean, there's not a functioning market.
No.
And there's a lot of need.
Yeah.
And that recipe just ends up really bad.
When you were growing up, like, so when I was growing up, all I ever knew was that there was a special education class, and who was in the special education class? Like, it was kind of this mosaic of children that I don't think all had the same diagnosis or the same conditions. It was just like
they were just all put together.
They were all just put together, right? And like now, as an adult, you know, I can name several young people in my life who are on the spectrum and like for sure are on the spectrum. And you know, they go to school and they do things.
Yeah.
But I think their lives are so much better, quite frankly, because we understand the spectrum and we say, oh, okay, you're on the spectrum. This is how we actually, you know, address that. So back to your point of like, is it growing or did we like not diagnose it the same? I mean, I don't, you know, I can ask my parents like, hey, you know, when you were sending me to PS279, you know, in the special education class, like, did you really have a good sense of, you know, what the children there were diagnosed with? And, you know, I bet my mom would just be like, no.
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 And I think, I mean, at least where I grew up, they were not special ed being mainstreamed into the regular classes.
No, it was segregated.
Yeah. And now it is.
Yes.
And there's a lot of studies that say that's better overall.
Of course.
And so,
by the way, on both sides.
On both sides. Yeah. And they also need services.
Yes.
I mean, and so mainstreaming kids, I think we should do, but we have to pair that with services in the school and at home and elsewhere.
Right.
And I think the healthcare system should at least be partially responsible for that.
Right.
But there's no real advocate negotiating with the payers to get these rates up because there's no business model where you would have a nationwide player to do it. So it's just
agree. Okay. It's crazy in crypto right now.
Yes, crazy negative. I mean, I don't know.
It's
boom
fraying.
and bust.
But it's fraying now, like at the personality level, right? So I mean, I shared a link with you yesterday, where I mean, basically, like the bankless guys. I mean, they've, you know, for all intents and purposes, they've kind of broken up. You know, David Hoffman is like sold all his ETH. Ryan Sean Adams is like, dude, okay, well, bankless ain't about ETH anymore. I'm not with bankless.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So they've like,
I mean, bankless started as ETH, I would say ETH max, like ETH.
100% ETH maxi.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the whole premise.
Yeah. Right.
So that's broken down. Saylor sold Bitcoin, you know, like right after like claiming triumph with, Stretch. Bitcoin is teasing 60K right now.
Yeah.
So that would be a more than 50% fall from all-time highs because it was north of 120.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it is a brutal space right now. Zcash, you know, just had to do a patch because Claude found, you know, and you know, a little bit you feel like this is just like a little bit overdone because it's happening too fast and it's too reactive, right? And that maybe there is a good opportunity to lean in right now because it's you know, it just feels so dramatic. At the same time, I think it just reflects that something that already hit the SaaS stocks, I feel like has now hit crypto, right? You know, to me, this just looks like crypto's version of the SaaS apocalypse, where AI is just so disruptive to everything. It's re-underwriting everything. You know, that's kind of how that's how I'm trying to interpret it. It's the best I can do. This Wall Street Journal story: the crypto winter turns colder as Bitcoin extends its slide. The digital token fell for a fourth straight day after a sale by one of Bitcoin's biggest cheerleaders. This is talking about Michael Saylor selling off some Bitcoin.
Yeah, we need to go to the next story. We have a story about Saylor selling it. So, you know, Stretch came off the peg. It's not at $1 anymore. And so, I mean, he sold $2.5 million. I think
it's symbolic because he said he would never sell, though.
Right. Yes, and it was taken symbolically by a bunch of people, and I mean, I think it went down like 15% that day.
He's such a big holder of it.
Yeah.
It's like Bitcoin is a meme.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
and so Saylor is so tied to it now. He has become a real risk to Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that, I'm still a believer, but it's not for the faint of heart. Crypto's always been that way. It's going to be 50% drawdown, 100% up, 80% drawdown. It's just how it is.
It says here, we want to be net aggregators of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a change in language.
That's different from never sell. Right. Net aggregators of Bitcoin, increasing our total Bitcoin, but more importantly, increasing our Bitcoin per share, because we think that is what's going to be most accretive long-term for MicroStrategies, which is just strategy now. I actually agree with that, right? To me, what I've seen him do is he has pivoted from just talking about Bitcoin to talking about strategy and talking about the different products that strategy is offering. He's got real products now.
Yeah, he's matured it with his 3 to 5 different products for different buyers.
Yes. He has matured it, and I think that the evolution of never sell to net acquirers that's a very appropriate. That's called becoming an institutional, business, right? But the market is not hearing it. The market is not hearing it. So it's been something to watch. To watch this all go down, and ETH is ETH's getting killed, Solana's getting killed. The only thing that's really doing well is Hyperliquid. That's the only one. Everything is really getting beat up right now. So we'll have to kind of keep watching this, and then also Jamie Dimon's made some headlines here recently for going off on Brian Armstrong.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, really?
This is a different story. What did he say about Brian Armstrong?
Oh, he said he was full of shit.
Yeah. That's not surprising.
Yeah, but he basically said, like, we may lose, but we, meaning the ABA, American Banking Association, we're fighting. We're totally fighting this thing, and we think, it's not right that you can make interest but not have all the same, Bank Secrecy Act stuff and all the things that we have to deal with.
I have trouble feeling a lot of sympathy for Jamie Dimon. He's got plenty of assets. I
don't think that's the point. No. I think the point is Jamie Dimon picking a fight with Brian Armstrong is pretty serious for Brian Armstrong. As cool as Coinbase is, and dude, JP Morgan.
Yeah. Their scale is.
That's just the whole.
Right.
Yeah. So you just on one hand, you can kind of pat yourself in the back and be like, man, I got Jamie Dimon's attention, but it's like, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Right.
Be careful.
Yeah. So this story, JP Morgan is sort of leading a group of banks that are making their currency deposits tokenized. So you still have a deposit, but you can move it you can move a token. Fine.
Right.
I don't know. It sounds like just another platform. It's the same thing. They do have the network effects and the scale, but in general, the status quo typically frays a little bit.
And tokenization means nothing to the general public.
Yeah, right.
You have to use these blockchains to be great behind the scenes, not
papering over.
No.
There's a reason that Russia and China and anyone against the U.S. government is nervous about the SWIFT banking system.
Yeah.
Because we have used it for nationalized purposes. And whether it was right or not, doesn't matter. There's reasons people are nervous about that. And JP Morgan tokenized deposits does not get you out of that.
No.
So
neither do stablecoins.
Right.
As we've seen, stablecoins can be unwound. They're backed by treasuries. It's it's just disseminating the dollar on new networks.
Yes.
Right. Into AI. Mayo Clinic, Mayo's latest AI bet, a frontier model with Microsoft. The advanced model should support earlier and more accurate diagnosis of treatment planning, the company said. Mayo's just badass, man. I've become friends with Dennis Dolan, who's the CFO at Mayo, and honestly, man, they really are so good.
Yeah.
like the way that they execute is
Mayo and Cleveland Clinic, someone else will be mad I didn't mention them, but there's very few U.S. health systems that are global, and Mayo's global.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're just really, really strong.
Yeah. Now on the other side, Microsoft had their developer conference late last week, I think.
Okay.
And they announced a bunch of stuff. I tried to get excited about it. It wasn't much that I was excited about, but they made this announcement.
Yeah. Look, here's my thing. companies like Microsoft and Oracle, I care much more when they're talking about what they're doing in partnership with industry than what they're doing when they talk directly to developers, right? Because that's where they're super strong.
Yeah.
That's that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that really matters, right? Because they've got such a foothold in these organizations with their existing footprint of
like SharePoint on Microsoft.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't know, billions of records that SharePoint runs.
Exactly.
And no one's going to unwind that. I mean,
that's my point, right? That's my point. It's just inside of enterprises, companies like Microsoft, companies like Oracle are deep. They don't need to be that impressive at their developer conference. You know, Google does.
Right.
You know, Trump signs AI executive order to increase government oversight. So this to me feels highly political. This feels like someone said, "Hey, the tide is turning, and we have to be able to show," because it's not a partisan thing. It's not like it's just the left that is outraged.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think Utah's red.
Yeah.
And I don't think Utah's very happy about this data center.
Colorado's reddish. Maybe it's independent. But there's states that are very aggressive against AI on both sides of the aisle. I don't think it's that.
Yeah.
Arizona, it didn't make the story, but Arizona is really upset about the data centers because their power costs are going up.
So, okay, I just have to say this. I did not fully understand the data center thing until I looked into the Kevin O'Leary story. This it just went over my head, Vic. You know, it's one of those things where you have a base of prior knowledge and you just sort of you use that as your scaffolding for your understanding as a topic. So when for a while, when people talk about data centers, I've been imagining the data centers I used to walk into when I was working at Emma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These were buildings.
Yeah.
Like buildings. Like I didn't understand that they were the size of cities.
Yeah. Have you seen Meta's footprint? I mean, it's like New York City size.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't like, it wasn't until the Kevin O'Leary story where I looked into it and I was like, why are they so mad about this? And then it was like, because it's the size of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh, the data centers I'm used to are in a building in an office park.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like they're not even a block.
Right.
They're not even a city block.
Yeah. This is not that.
No.
Yeah. And
I wonder how many people don't really understand that, especially like technologists, because I'm just admitting to you, I did not fully grasp the size of these things. Well, and they're not all that big, but I mean, many of the ones that are
the new ones
are ridiculous.
Yeah. And maybe I could guess, but why is that inherently different than a small one?
I mean, Vic, I just can't wrap my head around the use of resources for a data center taking up the footprint of something 2.5 times Manhattan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like 2.5 times Manhattan. Can you walk across Manhattan in a day?
I mean, actually, a friend of mine tried to do that. It took her 9 hours.
Okay.
She did it, but it was 9 hours.
Okay. So this is what I'm, that's my point. Like, something that would take you 9 hours times 2.5. So if you stayed up all night, you could walk from one end of Kevin O'Leary's data center to the other.
Yeah.
What kind of resources is it going to like you know when we used to say, oh, it's not true about the water. I'm like, actually, at that size, I'm like no. I'm not gonna just take the idea that somehow it's recycling the water and it's all perfect. Like, that's freaking huge, man.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's right. And so in Arizona, the public utility raised rates on what they call large customers, which is all the data centers, by 45% for next year. But they also raised everyone's rate by maybe 12% or something. And both sides are super mad. They kind of, decided to make everyone mad. They probably should have just charged 60% to the big guys and made no things to the public.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and we didn't cover it, but Senator Sanders is out talking about
50%.
The U.S. government should own 50% of all AI companies. And this drumbeat of like, it's unfair, the people need these are taking too many resources, combined with the Mag 7 going to the moon and Elon, going to go live in space, those things are going to clash.
Oh,
I mean they're already clashing.
100%, 100%. And honestly, like they really should. I mean, it's just out of line now. It's too much. It's too much, right? And one of the things that is really sad to me about it is, over on that desk right there, there's 2 NVIDIA DGX Sparks, right? My problem is I'm so time poor.
Yeah,
I can't like sit down to configure them. But there is a story to be told about decentralizing this stuff. You know, like there's a story to be told about an AI in every house.
Yes.
And you don't need to centralize this stuff. The only real reason you would need to centralize it is for the benefit of a single corporation. It does not somehow inherently benefit humanity more to create all these data centers at this scale. That is a corporate ambition. That's not a humanitarian ambition.
Yeah.
And we're missing the opportunity to tell the story about the opportunity
because of all the
all the data center shit.
Yeah.
I think that's really unfortunate. It's like we've got these incredible models that everyone could be running for free, and well, not for free, but like for the price of whatever electricity you want to spend in your home.
Yes, I mean, I think that's going to be the change after the midterms, but before the next presidential cycle. I think is that my opinion is that the open source models will be more than I need. And
it used to be that the open source models were all Chinese, but now with Gemma 4, now we have a very legitimate, U.S. born open weight model that you can privately and sovereignly run safely, legally, without any worry that's getting leaked over to the CCP, in your living room.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that's awesome. You could run it on your laptop and take it with you, wherever you go.
Yeah,
we're missing the opportunity to tell that story, because of these stupid, data centers the size of the Capitol,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to large data centers, and I think that it's not realistic to think that people are going to be able to run. I mean, you can, but not everyone can run a server in their basement.
No,
they don't have the technical ability, but it's much easier. Like I'm on Google Cloud. It's easier just to outsource it.
Let me just say this. There is no threat of one being run in your backyard right now. Like, so you have not truly internalized what would happen if you had the hum of a data center. Like, so it's actually not, like, I understand when you say you're not worried about it, but that's not the bar, right? I think what I'm trying to communicate is that I was struggling to understand how they could be like such an environmental hazard. Mm-hmm. And once I got the scale of it, all of a sudden I was like, this has to be reinterrogated. And the fact that we're just moving so fast and saying it's not a problem when they are of that scale, like, to me, that's just not intellectually honest. That's just you're just saying, okay, I just somehow trust that that's fine. A data center that used to live in a building that now is the size of a city, it's unprecedented. We've never used land at that scale for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's unprecedented. So I just think we should slow down a second.
Yeah,
and be like, what is the implication of doing that?
Okay, well, that's the last story. So let's
keep moving.
Let's keep going.
Let's keep moving. Sorry. Anthropic files to go public in blockbuster year for IPOs. I mean, I don't know. There's much to say here.
Well, so there's 3 or 4 IPOs. I'll group
Can I
together.
move through them?
Yes. Go through all.
Anthropic. Google seeks $80 billion for AI build out. Berkshire will buy a $10 billion stake. That's
Google is one of the most cash generating machines of all time.
Yes.
And they're raising $80 billion in new issuance of stock.
Wow. SpaceX sets their price for the world's largest IPO, $135 share price, valuing the company at $1.77 trillion.
So those are all going to happen in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
I think SpaceX will be first. And they're going to absorb a lot of capital. Right? Like I think you're going to see the effect in other markets because there's going to be a significant amount of capital in these three names.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to make people aware of it. It's the biggest investment humans have ever made in the history of the planet, I think, in like the last year. And then I was looking at this last night. Moore's Law has driven a lot of the things that we benefit from today, laptops, cell phones, internet, all that stuff like sort of grew out of Moore's Law. And AI capabilities are growing about 5 times as fast as chip capabilities have. Yeah. The investment is significant, and I think the potential is also significant. Now, it needs to be harnessed and like used for benefiting people, which I'm not sure it really has been proven yet, AI, but that's the combination we're looking at now.
NVIDIA introduces first PCs designed for AI agents. The company is going to work with manufacturers, including Dell, Lenovo, and HP to make the laptops. I heard on the Limitless podcast, they kept throwing around the dollar amount of $80K. Is that what they're applying to these, or did they make like a different computer that's going to be $80K and these are just going to be like comparable?
I thought these were consumer, like
just pure consumer.
I mean, maybe it's like $5K or something. I think it's a high end. PC.
Okay, it's like competitive with like a gaming.
PC.
Okay.
Now I don't know if it said the price in this. I can't quote you the price, but I did not get the impression that it was like buying a new car.
Okay. All right. So I mean, NVIDIA just continues to, expand their footprint. It's smart and to be expected at this point, right? And then Anthropic urges global pause in AI development, flags self-improvement risk. The $1 trillion startup warns artificial intelligence models are nearing capability to improve without human intervention. Duh. Like, this is the thing. I've actually the last 2 or 3 months, as people keep talking about the AI bubble, I've been pretty frustrated to hear all the nonsense around how like AI doesn't work. It's like you can't be using it and saying that.
Right.
You can't be using it and saying that.
Well, I mean, I think I was at this dinner last night, and a woman I was sitting near with, she wanted to understand AI more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, if you sort of use the chat interface and you use it once a week or you come and go, it's helpful. But like, what's all the excitement about? Like, okay, yeah, maybe it helps me write marginally better. And I think part of the issue is we don't have common understanding of what words mean. Like when I say I'm using an agent, anyone in the audience could take that to mean 100 different things, all of which would be fairly...
As they should, because we don't have a hard answer for that.
So, of course, AI models are now able to improve themselves. Anthropic has been doing that already. So the fact that they're saying they're nearing that capability is ridiculous.
Yes,
they already are doing it.
I agree with that. Yes.
And then it just strikes me as so ludicrous that they file to go public.
No, dude.
And they have a new model release. They're one of the 2 best models in the world, with OpenAI competing with them.
Yeah.
And now that they've established the thing and they're about to go public and they've got their position set, they want to freeze everything else. Like, okay, the leader always wants to freeze all new changes. That's not surprising. That's called regulatory capture. And it just makes them not credible with this risk yelling. Doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means they're not credible to tell the story.
No, I agree. Listen, I will admit that I have my sort of biases with regard to David Sachs. And so he was kind of the first person pointing at Anthropic and Dario. And I probably did not give his assessment, the clear-headed analysis that it deserved. But at this point, I think you have to look at the pattern and say that it's clever, right? It's a clever strategy that they are putting in place, and it's like, if you're gonna put these statements out, just go nonprofit. You know what I mean? Like, because I agree.
Because then you're credible.
Yeah, I agree. It's not helpful as a for-profit entity that's going to do this ridiculously massive IPO to say it's time to pause now that we've got Mythos and our roadmap is good to go for the next year.
Right.
I mean, like that's kind of insane.
And they don't have the compute, so they can't launch Mythos. So let's freeze everything because we haven't built our compute yet. Like
that's what I was about to say. I was about to say let's pause because I need more compute.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm with you. It's disappointing for sure.
But it is clever. I mean, back to your point about the data centers and kind of Lilly, like Anthropic they spend a lot of time lobbying and understanding how the zeitgeist is and leveraging it to their advantage.
100%.
And it's not that there's no kernel of truth. There is.
There is.
But they're not the right person to carry it. And I think they're succeeding. And so there's a decent chance that the U.S. government will be involved.
Okay, so this would be why. So now let me give the counterpoint to my David Sachs issue.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I couldn't quite stomach David Sachs's commentary is because he was leading the policy strategy, not the policy itself, but he was leading the policy strategy, or at least the spirit of where we were going to take the policy strategy. And the spirit was all gas, no brakes, no guardrails. And so to your point about they're not the right messenger, that's right. The U.S. government is the right messenger. Okay? And the U.S. government pendulum swung from the Biden administration saying we're going to clamp down and control all tech and all commerce, which sucked, to now the Trump administration being like, hands off,
no rules at all.
Right? And it's, it's been a bad run here.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a bad run, and it didn't start with this administration. I mean, I'm sure we can track back multiple, but certainly we had a lot of commentary about all the issues from the SEC and the FTC, and look, you didn't need to make Mark Andreessen a monster. You know what I mean? You could have found a way to work with the guy because he's now the top donor in political campaigns.
Right.
You know what I mean? That just wasn't politically smart to make an enemy out of him.
Yes. And my fear that I think I have some proof points on is that it's getting more extreme.
It's getting more extreme.
So the Dems going to come with something that's more than the Republicans.
Which is Bernie's position on the U.S. government should own these things 50%, which is which is, okay, Stalin. I mean, you know what I mean? That's ridiculous.
We know that doesn't work.
No.
I mean,
no.
And he knows it doesn't work. But it's politically popular.
Yes.
So, I don't know.
Okay. I'm late for a call.
Yeah. So that's
the
rundown for today.
We'll be remote next week, but thanks for putting the show together.
Yeah.